You're listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. Real stories, powerful insights, and weekly inspiration to help you rise above life's challenges. Let's lift off with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of the day it happens to be for you when you get the opportunity to listen to this. You are listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. And, it's a wonderful day to have a wonderful day. And I have an amazing guest on my show today. And so I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. You know what I usually do on my show? I first of all start out by giving flowers and doing an introduction. And so I'm going to go ahead and start out with an introduction. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome to the show my wonderful wife of 21 years, Katie Chatters. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here and share my story with you and the rest of the listeners.
Yeah, so, what we traditionally do on this show is we really start out with flowers. And so I'm just going to start out with flowers for you. These are not the physical flowers, of course, but the metaphorical flowers that are a part of, appreciation and just, all the wonderful things. And so it's just been so absolutely amazing to have you in my life for the last 24 years this year, right? Isn't that crazy? 24 years. I was just thinking the other day, we've actually been together longer than we were alive prior to being together. And that's amazing because you were 19 when we met.
Yes.
And I would have been 20. And so, we've now been together longer than that. And that's really amazing. And so all these years, you've really been the utmost support to me and our family. I've watched you overcome significant challenges and just be a persistent force for support for our family and for me. And so, I just have a lot of respect for you, a lot of love for you, as you could possibly imagine. And I'm just really, really happy to be able to share that publicly and in this space and have you on my show, where this show is really about people's stories who are able to overcome adversity, people who are able to rise above challenges that they're experiencing and be successful. And I've really seen you do that over the course of our time together. And so that's why I have you on my show today. And so we're really excited to hear your story. And I really want to introduce you to my listener base so they can hear your story and gain some inspiration from it. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here. So what's that like for you to hear that outward, sharing of those positive things?
Well, it feels extremely gratifying for you to acknowledge that. And it cannot go without saying that you have given me so much support to overcome all of the adversities that that I've been presented with and that we have been presented with in our lives. So, you have a huge part in the whole story. So, thank you for saying that. And, I just feel like you helped me to achieve those things.
Well, that's great to hear as well. And so thank you. I appreciate that. So we're going to start out today. I always ask my guests where your name came from. So tell us, where did your name come from and how did you get the name Katie?
Yes.
It's a name that I think, over the years, we've met a lot of Katies. And so tell us where the name Katie came from.
Well, it's a pretty plain story, I think. The only story that I know that my name came from is just because my parents liked that name. And I am named Katie, Katie, not Catherine, not Caitlin, nothing, just Katie, just because that's the name they liked, and that's my name. And my middle name, my given middle name is Marie, and that is because my mom's middle name is Marie as well. So, and I also named our oldest daughter middle name is Marie as well.
So yeah, just a little family tradition there, which is really cool to pass down a name. And so that's great. So tell us about the beginning part of your life. Tell us about where you were born, and give us a little bit of background about your upbringing and your youth.
Sure. I was born in West Point, Nebraska, and I was it was back in 1982, and both of all of my family, they were agricultural family. So I grew up on a farm, and a part of my early part of my story is that I grew up as an only child until I was 12 and 13, and that's when my sisters were born, when I was 12 years old and 13 years old. So I had a big age gap between me and my sisters. Also, what I did in my childhood was I was an athlete. I started out dancing, and then gymnastics, and then a little bit later into my high school, I played volleyball, basketball a little bit, but that definitely was not my main sport. But volleyball, track, gymnastics were my main sports, and so I really enjoyed getting out there doing those sports and really just socializing with my friends.
Yeah, so you grew up in West Point, Nebraska, and you didn't actually grow up in town, right? So you actually grew up on a farm outside of town.
That's right.
And so tell us about what that was like. Just, some of our listeners, they have that agricultural background or growing up in rural areas, but others, they grew up in the city and they don't really understand. So what was it like growing up on a farm when you were younger, and what did you do just to kind of pass the time and everything else?
Right. Like I said, I was an only child for a very long time. So I looked at, as I look back at my childhood, I think about just hanging out by myself a lot. And, I also had my cousins. I also had my neighbors, Schlickburns. Shout out to the Schlickburns. But I would spend a lot of time in my tree houses and feeding the animals, feeding the cattle and the horses and the pigs, and helping my dad. And I really spent a lot of time with my dad in the summer times, just going around with him in the pickup truck, and my grandma and grandpa as well. So during the summers, I would stay with my grandma and grandpa, and we would have lunch around the table every single afternoon, and it was a really great experience. But just around nature all the time, and around work all the time, and so there was always something to do, always chores to be done, and I would, that's a pretty good description.
Yeah, no, that's a great description of just what it's like to grow up on a farm. There's always things to do. I think one of the things that people don't really understand is just the cyclical nature of being in a space like that. I know early on in your life, your grandfather still had a dairy operation. Is that right?
Yes.
So, and people don't know this, but of course, those dairy cows need to be milked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every single day,
yep,
right?
Twice a day.
So they come in and they have to be milked. And so you would have seen that happen, right? And so that is a pretty serious business. And of course, there's a vehicle truck that comes and takes the milk, however often that happens, but it's a process. And so there's that going on. Then I know for a while there, your parents had pigs, right?
Right.
And so they would raise pigs, and that's another bit of a process, of course, having to feed them on a daily basis. And then your dad is a farmer. And so, of course, during the season of harvest and also during the planting season and just taking care of the crops, all those things, there's just a lot going on, right?
Right.
And
there
so,
is a lot.
For you, as a kid growing up in that space, what did you learn from seeing all of those things going on around you? Because just from a description perspective for our guests, she and her parents lived at one farm, and then up the road a bit, her grandparents lived there. So
Yeah.
it wasn't very far. And so the particular working space was up at your grandparents' place, right?
Right,
So you
right.
kind of had to get in a vehicle and go up there traditionally. So what was it like being around all that work and seeing your dad and your mom day in, day out, do these chores, pull you into some things, you're just kind of watching and then you actually do it yourself. What was that like?
Yeah. Well, I really didn't think much of it just because that's the way it was. That's just the way our lives were. And there was no way for me to actually observe anybody else living a different way.
Yeah. That makes
And
sense.
yes, so it was just that everybody was always doing something, and there was always something to be done, and you just did it, and you didn't complain. And if you ran into a problem, you figured it out, and you just kept on going to the next thing and the next thing. And that is like really a great it was a great way for me to learn how to deal with different obstacles that came up into my life.
Mhm.
Because you can't think about it too much. You just have to sit down, figure it out, and execute. And
Yeah.
so yeah.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's just great to hear a little bit about that background. And one of the things that I've learned over the years, of course, and when I had the opportunity to meet Katie in college, I had some exposure to that rural side of things, but not nearly as much as when I got a chance to get to know her and her family. And so when I started learning more about it and I saw the work ethic that it takes to be successful in that industry, and that can mean a lot of things to be successful as a farmer and in that space. But when I saw how challenging that was and all the different obstacles that you're faced with, whether they be natural obstacles, whether they be man-made challenges that might come up because something's not working, some piece of equipment on the farm isn't working, or whatever the case might be, I quickly recognized that there has to be an ingenuity about farmers. There has to be an ingenuity that helps you think creatively through how you're going to get through this thing, right? And then, of course, there's the timeline. And within the farming space, there's a timeline. And that timeline moves on without you, whether you like it or not, right? And so I think that was unique for me to also see how that aligns with agriculture, is just kind of this sense of urgency that things are going to change. You have to continue to be creative and you have to adapt. And I think that adaptability, especially in the absence of having a ton of funding to like just fix things, right? Like you have to get creative. And that's one of the things I quickly realized about your family and your dad specifically, is that he knew how to fix a lot of different things, and he had to, right? Because otherwise you're going to have to call someone in to fix things all the time. But that culture of there is a timeline, you have to get things done, you have to be adaptable, you have to be creative, I think is something that I've noticed is a part of you as well. It's just like you've adapted, you've been able to shift, make changes as you've needed to, that creativity, that ability to ideate and all those things. Tell us a little bit about, because some of our listeners are familiar with 4-H, different things like that, but tell us about how that was a major part of your life, because I know that was a major part of your early life.
Yes. So 4-H has been a part of our lives, my family's lives, for a couple generations. I would say, my aunts and uncles, they did 4-H, and I think even my grandpa. And so that was a long time ago. So my grandpa, my aunts and uncles, and then me and my cousins all participated in 4-H. And 4-H is basically an agricultural program, and it can range from like more of a home ec, like you can have home ec projects, and you can also have livestock projects. And so I did both. So I did sewing, I did baking, and you can do like some like craft type things or like building type things. You can grow flowers, you can grow vegetables, you can pretty much do anything for like a ribbon. And you're a part of a 4-H club that's very organized, that goes by Robert's rules. I mean, mine did. And
there's different levels of seriousness across the but
and also, so I was in 2 4-H clubs. So the home ec one, and then I was in a livestock 4-H club. And basically, anybody who wanted to show livestock, you could be in this club, and then you could, show your calf or show your sheep or pig or maybe goat, or like there's rabbits as well, and there's dogs. Any animal that you have that you want to show, you can pretty much show it. But what I did was I showed cattle and sheep. Later in my years, I showed sheep, but it was mostly cattle, and that's the thing that my uncles and my grandpa participated in when they were young. And so showing
and your
livestock,
dad as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So showing livestock is a huge part of the Schroeder family. And you want to ask me some more questions about that?
Yeah, so showing is it's actually quite a process. And so I think for people who don't really understand, it's like, okay, you just show an animal at the fair or multiple fairs, right? And there's different levels and there's different times throughout the year that you show these animals. And this was something that I was first introduced to also, and I'm just kind of trying to figure out, okay, what exactly goes into showing an animal? Like there's different levels of seriousness about it too. Some people take it more serious than others, right? I can remember your dad telling lots of stories about, just how much time and effort he put into some of his calves as he was growing up, and really took that very seriously. I noticed that your cousins, Brett and his kids, they're really into showing pigs, right?
Yeah.
And so, and just being able to go out there and see the animals as they're essentially getting them prepared to show at the fair, and then seeing the finished product at the fair and how they take care of these animals. There's just so much that you learn as you're going through that process. So what lessons do you remember learning about organization, care, all these different things that go into showing an animal? Like, what did you learn from that process in 4-H?
Well, I think overall, if I were to give you a very high level, you start showing a calf and they're wild. They don't want to be handled. And so you basically have to just keep on trying to handle them or lead them, break them. That's what they call it. So like halter breaking, and eventually they get tamer and tamer and tamer, and you can lead them around, with their halter. You wash them, you dry them, you comb them every single day, sometimes twice a day, because you're trying to get them to walk nicely, and so you're trying to get them to walk nicely, and you're trying to get their hair to like grow so that you can comb it so it can look nice in the show ring. And basically the more you work on it, the better it's going to get for both you and the animal.
So, that's great. I mean, I want my listeners to know it's definitely not an easy thing to do, to go out and get a wild animal and start to train that animal to, first of all, be willing to allow you to come up to it every single day and do what you need to do. It's just very unnatural for the animal. And so eventually you build a relationship with that animal. They know you, they likely know your smell, and they kind of start to be a little more, tame. And so when you see these animals in the show ring at the events, the kids who are out there, the young people who are out there actually showing these animals have built a relationship with those animals, and they've had to take care of them. They've had to learn how to manage some of the different behaviors that those animals have. And it's actually quite a learning process. And I think it's amazing. It's one of the things that, as I kind of looked into it from afar, I realized how beneficial that must be in teaching young people how to deal with issues, how to manage what progress looks like, growth, development of these animals, all these different types of things, and building that very close bond with that animal. And so, we talk about the importance of agriculture in our state and in our country. And I think that through these learning experiences, young people are learning these extremely valuable lessons. And again, the more you put into it, the more work ethic you put into it, taking care of that animal, building a stronger bond with that animal, it reaps results on the other side. So, when you're in the show ring and there's different things that are happening, and you can manage the energy of the animal and keep it calm. And then also you have to feed it properly, right? Because that's the big thing, is they're going to judge that animal. And then also your showmanship, essentially. But it's just all these different things that, a lot of people outside of this agricultural world may not understand, but you had these experiences. And so these experiences really shaped your early life and your perspective on what it meant to be, a young person growing up in West Point. And that was pretty common in West Point. And you had friends that did this, and you had friendships in those spaces, as well as friendships in the spaces of some of the other things that you did. We always talked a lot about your time in gymnastics. Mm-hmm. And so tell us a little bit about, those early years for you in gymnastics, and why that was an important sport for you to participate in, and what you learned from being in gymnastics.
Well, I think gymnastics, it carries the idea just of 4-H. It does carry over into gymnastics, or any actually situation that you want to apply it to. But gymnastics, I started in gymnastics probably when I was 8 years old. And I started at JJ's Gym. Shout out to JJ's Gym. And they were in Oakland, Nebraska. And basically I started, and I found out I was pretty good at gymnastics, and it came pretty naturally to me. So basically, when I was 8 years old, I probably went to gymnastics twice a week, maybe an hour twice a week. And then as I got older, the frequency of me going to the gym got more consistent, meaning maybe I would go 3-4 times a week, or maybe even more. And the training sessions got longer. As you start out in gymnastics, the first thing that you do when you go to a practice is condition. So push-ups, pull-ups, V-ups, some pretty intense muscle building activities. And then you stretch out. And and all of these activities are super intense. It's not just stretching out like what you would think, but it's doing the splits for 3 minutes each side, and all the stuff, and then working on skills, and it just takes a lot of persistence. And
So we're just kind of here talking about your early life, and I have my wife on the show today, so this is really cool to have her on here to tell her story. We've heard a lot about her agricultural background and different things, but when we come back, we'll continue hearing from her. You're listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty of everything, while still keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today.
A1 Automotive's second location is now open at 5110 State Hill Drive, just off of Yankee Hill Road. The new location continues to specialize in all makes and models and provides personalized service as they have for 15 years. With the school year here, A1 Automotive reminds you that college students get 10% off any service, and they offer free tire repair with a valid college ID. Schedule your appointment today at a1autolincoln.com and visit their new location in South Lincoln at 5110 State Hill Drive or downtown at 11th and L.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Schweizo Construction is now hiring for skilled craftsmen, steel erectors, concrete workers, and general laborers. Schweizo Construction offers great benefits like premium wages, health and dental insurance, paid holidays and vacation, 401k with company match, life insurance, and disability insurance. They pride themselves on a legacy of 40 years built on integrity and trust. Joining their team means becoming part of a family that values hard work, dedication, and mutual respect. Apply today at schweizo.com. That's SCHWISOW.com.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs has been an trusted and reliable company in Lincoln and the surrounding areas. Fast Mike's handles all sides of construction projects, home renovations, or big cleanouts. With the perfect size dumpster to fit your needs, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs will haul it all. With same-day delivery in Lincoln, affordable rates, and top-notch service, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs make cleanup quick and easy. Call now at 402-450-6828 or visit us online at fastmikesrolloffs.com. Book your dumpster today. Fast Mike's Roll-Offs, cleanup made simple.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Breaking here at the news desk. When you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, you can lock in your price for 2 years. Sources are confirming that when you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, your monthly price drops and you're locked in for 2 years. That's fiber fast internet, premium streaming TV, and reliable nationwide mobile coverage. And this just in, you must switch by Labor Day to secure that locked-in pricing for 2 years. Switch, stack, and save at allofiber.com/stack.
Bring new life to metal treasures with Kaiser Blasting and Coatings. From railings and fences to outdoor furniture and unique antiques, their expert team removes years of rust and weathering, then finishes each piece with a lasting powder coat. Trusted by industries across the region, now local homeowners and businesses can experience the same professional care. Visit KaiserBlasting.com or call 402-421-3559 to request your quote. Restore, protect, and make your metal shine like never before with the help of Kaiser Blasting and Coatings.
Gainett Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, you're back on the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. I have my wife, Katie Chatters, in the studio today. And so far, she's really given us a lot of background information about her upbringing and her foundation, which is deeply rooted in the agricultural roots of the state of Nebraska. Talk to us a little bit about 4-H and showing calves and sheep eventually, and being involved in gymnastics and everything else. And so, Katie, you know, one of the things that I got a chance to learn a little bit more about as soon as I got the opportunity to meet you many, many years ago, was that there was a pretty significant thing that happened in your life when you were 16 years old. And so we're going to go into talking about that. And this is really something that truly shaped your life and your family's lives. And so can you talk to us about, you know, what happened?
Sure. So when I was 16 years old, I got into a really bad car accident. It was on September 23rd, 1998. I was I had to wake up early and go to like pom-pom practice early in the morning on September 23rd. So I lived on a farm, and so I had to take gravel roads. And so I basically was on my way to school, and I lost control of my car, and I wrapped my car around a tree. And if anybody doesn't know what that means, it's basically you hit a tree, and like the speed makes your car wrap around the tree, or go around in a circle. So luckily, I think the only thing that saved me was the fact that there was another car that I passed, going in the opposite direction, on that road at that time. And the driver of the car saw a reflection in his rearview mirror and, looked back to see what happened. And he saw that I was in a car accident, and he called 911. And so I always like to emphasize this part of the story because I think it's so significant what our volunteer first responders do for these small towns in Nebraska. So West Point only had a volunteer first responder team, and they were called, and they got to me in the country in 8 minutes. And when they got to me, they had to use the jaws of life to get me out of the car and take me to the hospital. So they got me to the hospital and life flighted me to Omaha, where I was in St. Joseph's Hospital in Omaha, and where I was unconscious for 2 weeks. And I know that was, whenever I talk about it, I just get the most emotional when I think about my parents and what they had to go through. But I was unconscious for 2 weeks in the ICU at St. Joseph's Hospital, and I hope I'm getting that hospital right, in Omaha. And then after 2 weeks, then I did wake up, and it was just like, that was my whole new reality. And I had to so after I woke up, I think I was at the hospital for another week until I was transferred to Emmanuel Rehab Hospital in Omaha. And then when I was at Omaha Rehab Hospital, that's when like the real work started, and that's when the real reality set in, that I really had to, you know, I had to regain my ability to speak, because with a traumatic brain injury, your brain is just trying to process process your words, and speaking is sometimes a challenge for people who have sustained a traumatic brain injury. And on top of that, I also had to learn how to, or regain the ability to walk again. And on top of that, I also took occupational therapy, just because my hand movements were not as intricate as they used to be. So anyway, I spent 2 more weeks at Emmanuel Rehab Hospital, and I remember the physical therapist, she said to me, you know, because I didn't like doing any of those activities. Like, she was trying to make me walk. She was trying to make me do all these hard things. And she just told me, you can't go home unless you do this. And I was like, okay, I'm doing this. And so that really motivated me to, you know, push myself and kind of like get out of that stubborn mindset that I was feeling at that time. But anyway, once I finally got out of the hospital, so I was in the hospital for about 6 weeks. And so 2 weeks unconscious, and then, you know, I went through rehab and, you know, was able to walk, but still had a lot of rehab to do at home. So then when I got discharged, I was then at home, and my mom was able to stay with me all throughout my time at the hospital, and she stayed with me for a while I was at home. And I can't remember exactly how long, but anyway, when I was home, I went to physical therapy, you know, I don't know, probably 3 times a week. And I did speech therapy. I did occupational therapy. That whole, gosh, I feel like physical therapy was probably, I'm going to say a year. And then speech therapy and occupational therapy was probably 2 years. And I was only a sophomore. So that means I had those therapies until I was a senior in high school. And those therapies, the speech therapy and the occupational therapy, were provided by the school.
Oh, okay. School. I see.
And so anyway, that was just a really challenging time to come home and have a new reality.
Yeah.
And a new reality. I couldn't really do sports anymore. My reality was totally different.
Yeah, and it sounds like throughout that process, there was just the realization as you were going through all of that life is going to be different now, and that you had to, despite having a very active youth to that point and participating in so many things, you were just coming to this new realization that you're not going to be able to do some of these things that you really would want to do. And so that must have been really challenging. What was it like just in general to go back to school? Because, you know, we've talked about that, and I know that for a while there you were home, right? When did you actually go back to school after your accident?
So I got back I was discharged from the hospital about, I would say the end of October, in 1998. And I went back to school in January, and I only went back to school part-time. And when I remember when I did go back to school, they were like, okay, Katie needs to like leave class early, so I wasn't in the hallway with all of those people just because of my balance and mobility issues. And I was too stubborn, and I would not use like a walker or anything like that, because that was just like, I wasn't going to do it. And so they were like, okay, well, you're going to have a partner that's going to walk with you everywhere, and you're going to go before, the bell rings.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And I think I got 1 credit that year. So like the 1 credit that I did get was just so that I could graduate with my class. And so anyway, that was a very challenging time, but I made it through, and I don't know.
Yeah. So that year that you came back to school, you were having some struggles at school, of course, because your mobility and everything else, and the learning component. Talk to us a little bit about the people that you did have supporting you through that process, and talk to us about your physical therapist and, some of those different things, because I think that what people don't realize is that when there is an accident, the accident, of course, in and of itself is a very tragic thing, but then the process by which somebody has to rehabilitate is taxing, especially on that person, but also on the systems around them as well, right?
Right.
And so it just kind of ushers in this new reality, and there's a lot of people that help people try to get back to whatever normalcy is, as close to what normalcy is. And so tell us about some of the people that helped you in that process, and what that process of fighting your way back to normalcy, what was that like?
Sure. Well, like over like just a general thought that I had was, resistance. Like, I didn't want to be going through this situation.
Yeah.
It was kind of like denial. And so just so you have that kind of like overlay as I tell the rest of the story. So I had a physical therapist. His name was Terry Nelson. I'm still friends with him. Lawrence is good friends with him as well. He's still back in West Point, and really pushed me.
Did I DJ his daughter's wedding?
Yeah,
I think I did, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I actually DJ'd his daughter's wedding, which was super cool, and got a great
Right.
picture
Right.
to send to Katie. But yeah, so yeah, lots of great connections there.
Right. And, Terry is a super energetic guy, and he definitely didn't put up with any of my resistance, and he pushed me very hard, which kind of annoyed me at times. But it pushed me to the point where I am now. And so Terry is one person. Another person, in no particular order, is one of my speech therapists. Name is Mrs. Havity. I believe, I hope I'm saying that right. But her name just popped up into my head. So
Yeah.
so I really enjoyed having speech therapy with her. She worked for the school. I also had an occupational therapist, which that was my least favorite thing to do, because it was just difficult, and I just didn't like it. And but my parents who were there and just stuck with me, and sometimes I say you just have to put your head down. You just have to put your head down, and you just have to work, and not think too hard about it. You just have to do what you have to do. And in the end, it's going to work out for you in the long term. But sometimes it's not fun. It's not fun. And gosh, I was going to tell you a story about, I forgot it, but
yeah, just as you think about your recovery and some of those challenging stories, and we'll come back to that after this break. But, thank you for telling our listeners about this challenging thing that you experienced, because I think people have these things that they go through, and it's great to hear the other side of the story. So we're going to finish up this story, and then we'll be kind of back here. You're listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket.
Harvest season is coming, and Acres has discounted many of our late model John Deere combines. Get thousands in discounts and upgrade for this year's harvest. Plus, you could save even more with interest rates starting as low as 1.9% on select units. Low interest rates combined with our huge discounts, there's not a better time to buy. Visit acres.com for all the details. That's AKRS.com. Restrictions apply. Offer ends August 31st, 2025. Subject to approved financing. Offer may change at any time without notice.
Hey fans, there's more winning at Amigos with the VIP Game Day giveaway. Every app scan is your chance to win premium tickets to a Nebraska football, basketball, and volleyball game, along with exclusive game day perks. And when Nebraska goes to a bowl, the winner also gets 2 tickets, lodging, and airfare to the bowl game. Weekly semifinalists will win free food for a year. Go Big Red, eat at Amigos, and enter to win.
Amigos is celebrating 45 years with exclusive Nebraska Legends collectible cups featuring Tom Osborne, John Cook, and some of your favorite Huskers. For every cup sold, 50 cents goes to teammates. Show your Big Red pride by getting all 4 of these collectible cups at Amigos.
This is Tom Osborne with the Teammates Mentoring Program. We have students on the waiting list for a mentor, and we want you to join the team. Learn more about mentoring and support teammates by visiting Amigos.
An overdose can happen in front of you and you might not realize it. Blue lips, slowed breathing, pinpoint pupils, choking sounds, unresponsive to touch or sounds. These signs aren't always obvious, but they can be deadly. Knowing what to do could save your friend, your neighbor, your child. Learn more by visiting myhealthymind.crediblemmind.com so you can be ready before it happens. This message is funded in part by the CDC OD2A grant.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion, for happier, healthier, furry friends.
Limitless Male says, it's all fun and games until your testosterone plummets. Testosterone levels can start falling as early as age 30 with symptoms like no energy, poor sleep, brain fog, belly fat, muscle loss, and mood swings. If this sounds familiar, get your testosterone checked at Limitless Male. We'll get you back in the game with more strength, energy, and confidence. When you feel this good, you'll wonder why you waited so long to get a free consult at Limitless Male. Get scheduled today.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
What's better than supporting your favorite radio station and eating delicious Nebraska-made products? Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska wants to highlight you, the listener, on the 93.7 The Ticket Wall of Fame at the store. Stop by the store at 48th and R in Lincoln and see their huge variety of small batch gourmet jerky. Or if you're not in the area and want to try some, go to SmokingGunJerky.com and enter code EARLY for 10% off your purchase. It's the ultimate low-calorie, high-protein snack at Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins'. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, that's right. We're back on the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. Inspirational stories from inspirational people. I have someone very inspirational in the studio today, my wife, Katie Chatters, and she's telling us all about, her experience with having a pretty substantial car accident when she was 16 years old and having to really come back from that and just rehabilitate so many aspects of her life, learn to walk again, talk again, get back into school. She was a sophomore. And so just how she was able to overcome those challenges. And as you are listening out there and people who've experienced some of these things, you realize how difficult it is and how much of an impact that has not only on the person, but the support system around them. She's talked about how she had a great support system around her during that time and how that helped her to recover. And so, Katie, tell us a little bit about, your senior year. I mean, this is really a year and a half post the accident, and you wanted to try to make a comeback that year, right? You wanted to change some things. But first, tell us a little bit about you coming back to school and kind of coming to this realization that you'd missed so much school that you might have to be held back.
Right. Well, that brings me to a meeting that we had with all of my teachers, all of my therapists, all of the school administrators, where we were discussing what my future was going to be. And everybody was throwing out different options. And then my physical therapist said, oh, well, what about if Katie just, graduates a year later than what she's supposed to. And, just to paint the picture, I'm sitting in this small room at this conference table with everybody. It was a packed room. And at that time, I was not, I could not speak very well. My stature, I guess, was not very big, or I had just been in an accident, and I really wasn't saying very much. It probably didn't even look like I was paying attention. And then so when somebody had brought that up of me skipping, taking another year to graduate high school, I was just like, that is not an option. I am graduating and I'm going to college. And I just laugh about it now because I realize how far-fetched that was, but I did it. And so basically that senior year, I had to do an extra class during the summer, just so I had all the credits that I needed to graduate. I ended up deciding to go to Midland Lutheran University. It's now Midland University, after high school. And so anyway, I was pretty determined just to graduate on time and to, graduate with my friends. And so that's what I did.
Yeah, no, that's great that you talk about that meeting, because one of the really challenging things to happen in life is when other people have to make decisions for you, right? And you always want to have your own autonomy to make decisions for yourself. And I think that seeing all the different factors and all the pieces together, they were probably thinking that they were going to make this recommendation and you might be like, okay, and then all of a sudden things would the pressure would release a little bit because people didn't have to push as hard, and neither did you, but you were determined that you were going to finish with your classmates. And that's really awesome that, you described what your feeling and your stature was like during that time, because despite you not feeling like you could speak up for yourself, you really made a big decision at that point and decided to follow through with it. So that's really great to hear. When we come back in the next hour, we're going to talk about just the absolute regrowth and the progress that Katie has made since that point in time, her going off to college and her experiences after that. And so we'll be right back. The top of next hour, you're listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters.
Harvest season is coming, and Acres has discounted many of our late model John Deere combines. Get thousands in discounts and upgrade for this year's harvest. Plus, you could save even more with interest rates starting as low as 1.9% on select units. Low interest rates combined with our huge discounts, there's not a better time to buy. Visit acres.com for all the details. That's AKRS.com. Restrictions apply. Offer ends August 31st, 2025. Subject to approved financing. Offer may change at any time without notice.
Hey fans, there's more winning at Amigos with the VIP Game Day giveaway. Every app scan is your chance to win premium tickets to a Nebraska football, basketball, and volleyball game, along with exclusive game day perks. And when Nebraska goes to a bowl, the winner also gets 2 tickets, lodging, and airfare to the bowl game. Weekly semifinalists will win free food for a year. Go Big Red. Eat at Amigos and enter to win.
Amigos is celebrating 45 years with exclusive Nebraska Legends collectible cups featuring Tom Osborne, John Cook, and some of your favorite Huskers. For every cup sold, 50 cents goes to teammates. Show your Big Red pride by getting all 4 of these collectible cups at Amigos.
This is Tom Osborne with the Teammates Mentoring Program. We have students on the waiting list for a mentor, and we want you to join the team. Learn more about mentoring and support teammates by visiting Amigos.
An overdose can happen in front of you and you might not realize it. Blue lips, slowed breathing, pinpoint pupils, choking sounds, unresponsive to touch or sounds. These signs aren't always obvious, but they can be deadly. Knowing what to do could save your friend, your neighbor, your child. Learn more by visiting myhealthymind.crediblemmind.com so you can be ready before it happens. This message is funded in part by the CDC OD2A grant.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion, for happier, healthier, furry friends.
Limitless Male says, it's all fun and games until your testosterone plummets. Testosterone levels can start falling as early as age 30 with symptoms like no energy, poor sleep, brain fog, belly fat, muscle loss, and mood swings. If this sounds familiar, get your testosterone checked at Limitless Male. We'll get you back in the game with more strength, energy, and confidence. When you feel this good, you'll wonder why you waited so long to get a free consult at Limitless Male. Get scheduled today.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
What's better than supporting your favorite radio station and eating delicious Nebraska-made products? Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska wants to highlight you, the listener, on the 93.7 The Ticket Wall of Fame at the store. Stop by the store at 48th and R in Lincoln and see their huge variety of small batch gourmet jerky. Or if you're not in the area and want to try some, go to SmokingGunJerky.com and enter code EARLY for 10% off your purchase. It's the ultimate low-calorie, high-protein snack at Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. You're back on the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. I have my wife, Katie Chatters, here in the studio today, telling her story, talking about her journey and all of the things that make her who she is. Just a quick recap of last hour. We heard a little bit about her agricultural roots growing up near West Point, Nebraska, good old Cumming County, being a part of, 4-H, raising and being around the agricultural side of this state and what that taught her. She talked about just her early love of being outside and just absolutely enjoying, playing on the farm, spending time with her grandparents and her parents. And eventually her sisters would come along when she was 12 and 13. And really a lot of taking care of them too, which was a major part of your early life. And then she mentioned to us, of course, in her story, a major part of her story is a pretty significant accident that she was in when she was 16 years old, on a gravel road, lost control of her vehicle. Had to be life flighted to Omaha. Pretty long and arduous recovery there, having to really learn some things over again and rehabilitate while also just going through high school and dealing with that. And then she just, was telling us about making the decision to go off to college a couple years after this happened. And so that's where we pick up our story this hour, is just kind of talking about that decision to go to college. And honestly, that decision to go to college serendipitously led to our meeting. And so her freshman year, that's when we ended up meeting at Midland Lutheran College in Fremont, Nebraska. And so, you did decide to go to college that next year, which was a big decision for somebody who had just experienced, a pretty significant traumatic brain injury through this accident and had to really fight to graduate on time, which you did, which is awesome. But tell us a little bit about your decision to go off to college and what that was like to leave this small, tight-knit community where, if you all don't understand small towns, everybody knows everybody's business. And so everyone in that community would have known about that happened to you and your family, right? It was just something that was common knowledge there. And so leaving that community and going off to college where not many people knew what happened, right? And here you are back in the mainstream, going to Midland. What was that like for you?
Well, going to Midland was, I feel like going to college for every young person is a very, very exciting time of their lives. And I was ready for something new. And I was ready to, fly the coop and, just live by myself and, start my life as a college student, as a young adult. And so anyway, the social aspect of college was like very great. I loved it, but the academic part of college was more of a struggle. And I knew that was going to be a struggle following my accident. But, I just told myself, I'm just going to work hard. I'm just going to work hard. And basically that is what got me through all of college. Just knowing that I'm going to have to put in 2 times, 3 times the work. And so anyway, going to college, it was, there were some really great parts. There were some really hard parts. And I generally, I think it was definitely the best decision that I could have made. And one of the other things is, when I was growing up, my parents always told me, you're going to college, you're going to college, you're going to college. They didn't go to college. My dad went to college, but he didn't end up graduating. My mom went to beauty school. And so they did go to college, but they didn't go to a 4-year college. And so that's what they kept on telling me. You're going to college, you're graduating from college. And so just because my accident happened, it didn't change that voice in my head that had been there basically my whole life.
Yeah, so you get to college and quickly realize the difference in the academic challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's so interesting how, we kind of fast forward to, and we won't pass through all of this, but just thinking about sending our daughters off to college and just all of the challenges that come with that, and, being parents in general. And, one thing you recognize at that point in time is that there's people in your life who can see those challenges ahead of you, and they want to try to help you understand those challenges. But we recognize from having our own daughters that most of the time they're not ready to listen. They're not wanting to listen to that part, right? And so when you think back on your journey and all of the different challenges that you face going into college, it sounds like you realize now that there were so many things that were going to be a problem. But fortunately, I think also sometimes when we do face those challenges, we're not really thinking fully about it. We still allow ourselves to step into those spaces, right? So we're not going to be afraid because, we're like, well, gosh, I can get it figured out. And we figure it out. But it can definitely look different for different people. And so that freshman year of college, when we met, and that really was like, for me, I was a senior. To my listeners. So I was a senior. Katie was a freshman, and we met, and it really was this very it was, people talk about this concept of like love at first sight, and this concept of just like knowing and everything else. And we really had the chance to experience that. As we kind of look back on it, it was kind of like, as I remember it, and, I think you probably remember it this way as well, but from the very first day really that we met, we can kind of look all the way back to that point. And we've spent pretty much all of our life together since that point, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, it's just crazy because, again, people, they think, oh, this whole love at first sight thing, or that there's somebody in the world or the universe for you, may not necessarily be the case, but we were able to actually experience that.
It's definitely magnetic. And, it's, I always tell everyone, it's like, we met and the rest is history. And so it's really awesome. It's really awesome that we've gotten to experience that.
Yeah. And so just to kind of make some connections in the story here. So for me, going to college and, experiencing, I've talked on my show in the past about some of my challenges growing up and my disability that I have, and just the issues that I dealt with. So, honestly, when I met Katie, and I found out after a while, we had dated for a while, and she told me, hey, I had an accident when I was 16 years old. I'm 2.5 years post that. That's why I have some of these unique challenges and stuff. And I can remember when I first met you that you didn't talk very loud. You didn't, you moved normally, but there were some times that you did have challenges with your mobility. And it was just I noticed, and I'm like, we talk about it and you're like, hey, this is what I'm going through. I'm still recovering from this. I'm still, making some progress in my journey of rehabilitation around some of these things. And what I can tell you is that, honestly, for me, those were some things that I really could relate to, because I also did occupational therapy when I was in high school. I had to do vocational rehab when I was in high school. And that was because, again, when you have a challenge, the school system provides you with supports to make sure that you're able to function in the world like everybody else can, right? And so I actually philosophically understood those things. I didn't really fully understand the extent to which those were challenges for you, but I also recognize that, you're consistently working hard just to, like me, try to be just like everybody else, right? And that's a unique thing to understand, that when you have a deficit, you just keep working hard. And most of the time, people may not see it, but you're working harder than everybody around you just to be like everybody else, right? And so it was something that I could relate to. And so, early on in our relationship, I actually took it upon myself, and we both did this together. And I think that's one of the reasons that, truthfully, we were made for each other, is that we could understand each other's journeys. Mm-hmm. And at the time, there were certain things that I wasn't able to do. And so you would step up and do those things. I wasn't able to drive at the time. And so you would always drive, right? But you kind of understood, I think, my challenges and you saw that I was continuing to work hard and try to like, push myself, and I saw the same thing with you. And so I think that really, really did have a major impact on our relationship early on, that we both understood, okay, we're both growing, we're both trying to overcome these challenges. And it wasn't like oh, well, I didn't see you as any less than anybody else, because I recognized just how hard you had to work to keep moving forward. And so, yeah.
Well, and I kind of feel like, looking back at it, I feel like at the time, that thought process of what you just described, didn't really enter my mind. It was just like we were just living, we were just doing what we had to do.
Yes.
And a couple things that popped into my head when you were just saying that is that a traumatic brain injury is called the invisible disability, just because people can't see it.
Right.
People don't know. And like another fact that I learned way back when I was going through all this stuff, was that I read that it took like 10 to 15 years to get over a traumatic brain injury. And I read that fact and I was in denial. Of course, I'm always in denial. And, but it rang true. And I think maybe after 10 years had passed, I was like, oh my gosh, I think I feel like I am kind of like mentally over this accident that happened to me. But, that was, it did take 10 years at least.
Yeah. And, as you talk about that, certainly hindsight is 2020. And I think looking back, I can conceptualize that we really fit together well. And we were, truly like understood each other. And at the same time, there's kind of like this unique clash of cultures too.
Mm-hmm.
And, for you growing up in West Point and growing up on a farm and everything, and me growing up, never really being on a farm for an extended period of time and really understanding all those different pieces and everything else, it was really amazing that we met each other and we were able to like really get to know each other better and be such great partners. And I think that for me, that was a learning experience. And I think for you, it was a learning experience too. We were just kind of like learning about new culture through each other. And it was just, you kind of look back on it. There were a lot of challenges, here and there and everything else. But I think that, now that I think back on it, as you're recovering and going through all the things that you're going through and experiencing those things, it was just all about being supportive of each other.
Right.
And
I, the one thing I'll add to that is that, yes, we did have a serious clashing. And when I say serious, don't take that too like hard, but we had we came from two different cultures that were very different. And the one thing that like kept us together is that you kept on trying and I kept on trying, and we just tried to learn and understand from one another.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you and I get along so well and we understand each other so well, that is kind of like the glue that keeps us, that has always kept us together.
Yeah. And I think that as, people are listening and you think about, your own relationship and the relationships that have worked and the relationships that haven't worked. One of the things that's important as a, person who's worked with couples is that continued attempt of trying in a relationship. And, when things get really tough, once people stop trying, that's where things start to compound and it's just negative, right? And so, yeah, we always have tried. And I think even early on in those early years, as we were very young and going through our own changes and everything else that just happened with, being in your early 20s, we just kept trying. And it was just always that conscious attempt. But honestly, when we both met each other, we had both been in situations where we had to overcome things. And so we're just kind of like, okay, well, I guess you just have to keep changing, you have to keep adapting, and you have to keep working hard at things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when that actually goes into your relationship and then eventually starts becoming a part of parenting and everything else, you know, I think that you get good results from that, right? And so, you know, we were young parents. And so, you know, when Erlon was born, I was 23 and you were 22. Yeah. So 23 and 22. And so, you know, here's our first child that's come along. And, you know, again, it was a learning experience, right?
Right. And well, you know, yes, we were young parents, but I think earlier in the story, I had referenced that my sisters were born when I was 12 and 13 years old.
Yeah.
And like I really did take a huge part in raising them. And so I knew what it took. And I was through their whole childhood rearing, I guess. And I mean, not their whole, because I left the house and I think they were like 5 and 6 or around there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, when we found out that we were expecting, I was like, no problem, I got this. And like naively, always naively. But you know, it was like the greatest thing that ever happened.
Yeah. And, you know, children have a way of exposing in us our challenges and our shortcomings, just because there's really, you know, there's a lot of books written on parenting, but I'll tell you, there's no book on parenting, right? Like there's just your experience of trying things and, you know, just really, really just trying to figure out, especially when you're young and also still, you know, you're still going to college, dealing with all those things that happen around you, right? And then also trying to like raise a child. So, you know, we kind of talk about that continued trying, but we both really worked hard and tried to pitch in on the parenting side of things. And, you know, just like those things, sometimes they really do define you, that you are, you know, working hard and trying to pour everything that you can into making something better. And I think we just continued that process throughout raising, you know, our first daughter, and then, you know, 3.5 years later, our second daughter comes along, and you know, that was 2008, and you know, something happened during the 2008 year that was really important and is a bookend to what you started back in 2001. So what happened in 2008?
2008, I graduated, and so basically I graduated from UNL, started at Midland, and I transferred to UNL, and I finished my education degree. And you know, when I walked across the aisle, I was pregnant with Michaela. So she was born in July, and that was May. So I was, you know, I was pretty pregnant at that time. And so and then, you know, I graduated, and after Michaela was born, I stayed home with her for, you know, almost the first year. And then that's when I started my career at the Nebraska legislature. And, you know, and that lasted 10 years. You know, I worked for 4 different senators, and but I really enjoyed my time at the Nebraska unicameral. And anyway, it just, you know, just going back to, you know, raising a family, overcoming challenges. It's just, whenever times were hard, which they were hard a lot, I would just tell myself, the family is the only thing that matters. Family is the only thing that matters. You know, focus on the family, focus on, you know, what's best for them. And, you know, that's, and, you know, I found a lot of joy in that as well. But it's whenever the negative thoughts come in, you know, you always have to like replace that with 5 positive thoughts.
Yeah, when I think about just those years of, early on in our having kids and kind of working and everything else, and just how everything aligned, it's just, and this is for a lot of young families out there. So if you're a young couple and you have kids and you're struggling and you're trying to figure out what your profession is going to be, there's still somebody that's going to school, there's still somebody working their first job, all those different types of things, really having that central focus on the fact that it's going to get better and having hope, I think is incredibly important. And, I always talk to young fathers and they're just struggling and they're just trying to figure out, how am I going to, I have to work this job and then I have to come home and I have to do this and I have to, try to be there for this person and this. And it's like, you know what? That's just a part of our journey in life, right? Not everything is going to be easy. There's going to be really challenging times. You're going to struggle, but that's a part of the journey. And I think as I kind of look back to that time, some of my fondest memories are, and I hope I don't get emotional. I was hoping I wouldn't get emotional on my show, but I just remember working at the state penitentiary and having you bring Errol to the penitentiary for lunch. And it was just so special. I remember sitting in that car, having lunch that you brought from home because, you don't have any money. You're just trying to make it. And we'd just be sitting out in the parking lot. Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry. I just, but it just, like those times are so special.
Right.
And you just don't think, when you kind of look back so many years later, you just think about how special those times were. She's sleeping in the back, sound asleep. And, it's just like,
yes.
When you get to these points later on in life and you're just like, man, you made it through that, And so, these are, tough conversations to have, but not really. They're beautiful, actually. But I just think back to that time and I was just like, man, now we'll go have lunch with her today. And
right.
she's a junior in college, right?
Right.
But you think back to those times and you think, we made it through that.
Right.
Together, And so to those couples that are young, you have young kids and you're struggling, you don't have any money and things are hard, just know that it gets better, right?
Right.
You stick together, you love each other, you keep working hard, you make progress.
Right. Absolutely.
So, anyways, I was, I was trying to keep myself on the other side of that emotion because I knew, you open that up, it's tough, but it's okay. So 2008 comes around, you start working at the state legislature and, tell us a little bit about that time, because that was really a special time, I think, for you. It was kind of like you finished up your degree, which, again, you all have to understand how against all odds that was, because there's so many things that changed in your life over the course of that time from when you started to when you finished. You're just getting out of your accident 2.5 years prior to that, you go into college, like you had that challenge, and then transfer 2 children later, right?
Yeah,
like almost, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, you finish your degree.
I do think about that. Especially in preparation for the show, I was like, I couldn't have made it any harder for myself. Just because of the circumstances.
Yeah.
But I ended up graduating and working at the legislature was really cool and exciting. I had always kind of dreamed of working for the legislature, but I had no idea how to do it. And that was before the internet.
Yeah, things were different.
Yeah,
folks. You couldn't just look up anything at any point in time.
Yeah, you look at the Capitol and you're like, oh, I would love to work there, but I have no idea how that I would even get into a job in that building. So anyway, I happened to have a friend that was friends with the state senator, and the position opened up, and I applied, and I luckily got it. Shout out to Amanda McGill Johnson. So I worked with her for 5 years. During those years, while I was her executive assistant, I was also the committee clerk for the Urban Affairs Committee. Shout out to Urban Affairs. And at that job, during the 10 years, I learned all about government and how we make laws and what the process is for making laws and for public discourse. And it was a huge learning experience and very exciting. Challenging at times because it is politics, but if you could just kind of, shift your thinking into, being more tunnel visioned, like we've had to do earlier in our lives, you can get through it. But yes, the legislature was a great experience.
Yeah, so we'll talk even more about that and just kind of like your transition out of the legislature when we come back. But you're listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be right back after this.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty of everything, while still keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today.
A1 Automotive's second location is now open at 5110 State Hill Drive, just off of Yankee Hill Road. The new location continues to specialize in all makes and models and provides personalized service as they have for 15 years. With the school year here, A1 Automotive reminds you that college students get 10% off any service, and they offer free tire repair with a valid college ID. Schedule your appointment today at a1autolincoln.com and visit their new location in South Lincoln at 5110 State Hill Drive or downtown at 11th and L.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Schweizo Construction is now hiring for skilled craftsmen, steel erectors, concrete workers, and general laborers. Schweizo Construction offers great benefits like premium wages, health and dental insurance, paid holidays and vacation, 401k with company match, life insurance, and disability insurance. They pride themselves on a legacy of 40 years built on integrity and trust. Joining their team means becoming part of a family that values hard work, dedication, and mutual respect. Apply today at Schwizo.com. That's SCHWISOW.com.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Rollouts has been an trusted and reliable company in Lincoln and the surrounding areas. Fast Mike's handles all sides of construction projects, home renovations, or big cleanouts. With the perfect size dumpster to fit your needs, Fast Mike's Rollouts will haul it all. With same-day delivery in Lincoln, affordable rates, and top-notch service, Fast Mike's Rollouts make cleanup quick and easy. Call now at 402-450-6828 or visit us online at fastmikesrolloff.com. Book your dumpster today. Fast Mike's Rolloff, cleanup made simple.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Breaking here at the news desk. When you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, you can lock in your price for 2 years. Sources are confirming that when you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, your monthly price drops and you're locked in for 2 years. That's fiber fast internet, premium streaming TV, and reliable nationwide mobile coverage. And this just in, you must switch by Labor Day to secure that locked-in pricing for 2 years. Switch, stack, and save at allofiber.com/stack.
Bring new life to metal treasures with Kaiser Blasting and Coatings. From railings and fences to outdoor furniture and unique antiques, their expert team removes years of rust and weathering, then finishes each piece with a lasting powder coat. Trusted by industries across the region, now local homeowners and businesses can experience the same professional care. Visit KaiserBlasting.com or call 402-421-3559 to request your quote. Restore, protect, and make your metal shine like never before with the help of Kaiser Blasting and Coatings.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, that's right. We're back on the Law of Lift, and I have my wife Katie Chatters on the show today. And again, this is a show about inspirational stories, and people always kind of ask the question, of me. How do you stay so positive all the time? Why are you always so optimistic and everything else? And I can definitely say that my wife is an optimistic person too. And we always really get the opportunity to talk and bounce our energy off of each other, really good positive energy and just big dreams and big hopes. And so, I will tell you, if you want to live a better life, you have to end up finding someone and settling down with somebody who is a hopeful person and is a positive person, because that keeps you moving in that positive direction, even when times are challenging. And so, we've been talking a little bit about her journey and just, really highlighted by, and usually when I'm on this show, I talk about times in people's lives that were very challenging and the adversities that they've had to overcome. And so far we've talked about you overcoming your accident, going off to college, having to take on the new challenges of being in a new place and, taking on all the issues there. 2 children later, you graduate and now you're working at the legislature during this time frame around 2009, from 2009 to 2019. And, what always struck me about your time at the legislature is that, there was a lot of learning that you had to do, because most people still to this day, and I'll tell you what, we certainly in this day and age are getting a crash course in government, right? Yeah. On a national level. But still, a lot of people in Nebraska have no idea how the bills and the laws of Nebraska are made. And so you got to see that up close and personal. You got to work with senators from each side of the aisle, yep. Which, in Nebraska, we have a unicameral, right? So, but you got to see so much that was happening in that space. And I just thought that was so interesting. I thought the Capitol was really like a family, honestly, all the staff and everybody, just how kind everyone was to each other. And I mean, it was just a different time politically, even, right?
Yeah.
In our country, where there was still lots of dialogue and essentially diplomacy, despite the parties and everything else. But that was just a unique time. But you know, this next segment, I kind of want to just talk through a little bit more about your job and kind of what made you decide to shift into going into the fundraising side of things. And then we can kind of keep talking about our journey because we decided after being in Lincoln, Nebraska for 16 years, from 2002 to 2018, to take a quick jaunt out to Pennsylvania, right?
Yes.
But anyway, so talk to us a little bit about your time in the legislature, kind of what you learned from that, how that aligned with other experiences in your life.
Well, my time at the legislature started in
2009. Yeah.
2009. And, you know, I started my job, or I started my tenure at the Nebraska legislature with Senator Amanda McGill, now Amanda Johnson. And soon after I started that position, she became chair of the Urban Affairs Committee, and which meant that I was going to become committee clerk of the Urban Affairs Committee. And so what that basically means, the committee clerk for a committee takes the notes, kind of like manages the committee for the legislature. And I kind of have to go into a full explanation. So the legislature has like 7 committees. And one of the committees is the Urban Affairs Committee. And each committee vets all of the bills that are introduced into the legislature. And so basically bills go into committees. Committees then have hearings and then vote on whether that bill is going to be pushed out into the full legislative debate. So if the bill is not pushed out in or voted out into the full legislative debate, then it is dead, essentially, because it cannot be made into a law. And anyway.
So you had to basically prepare all the books that came in with all this information in it for all the senators on that committee, which I can remember was the binders, right?
Yeah, the binders.
So, yeah.
The binders contained the bill, the executive summary, the fiscal note, and any exhibits that, you know, kind of went with that. And that was a big job. And I actually put it into a physical binder. And this was not that long ago, but I put it into a physical binder for each of the senators. And hopefully nowadays.
Maybe it's electronic, right?
Yeah.
But probably not, honestly. So just because, you know,
and
some people still want that old technology.
Right. Yeah.
But so talk to us a little bit more about, you know, I know you worked for some other senators, but tell us a little bit about what you learned from your time comprehensively of working in the legislature and just kind of being in that space, the political space, for 10 years.
Well, I learned a lot, and it's really hard for me to answer that question because, you know, one thing I learned, I will say to be diplomatic. Diplomatic meaning you need to be open to all ideas. You need to basically welcome everyone into the office with a welcoming attitude, no matter what side they are on and what viewpoint they're coming in the office with, because that is the job of a state senator, to serve their constituents and
everybody in their constituency, right? Like not just the people that voted for them, right? They have to serve everybody. So
Yes. So really like just serving people in Nebraska. And people would call into the office, and sometimes they would need help. And because we worked in the state legislature, we knew of, like, maybe not all, but most of the services that were provided in the state. And we could direct them to where they needed to go. And really, the legislature taught me how to work with everyone and how to get things done and how things were done and how you need to go about that. And it really gives you a good backdrop on how to get things done.
Yeah, that's great. And, when you see all the things that go on behind the scenes and all the people that are involved in making sure that our state runs smoothly, as smoothly as possible, I think it's definitely a learning experience for you. And so you kind of had a better understanding of just these time limitations, having to be adaptable to, right, as things shifted and different things came into view. And then you took all of your experience from the legislature and you decided to make a change. And so tell us about the change that you decided to make and where you worked after you left the legislature.
Right. So in 2019, I made a switch to work in Midland University's advancement department as the annual fund officer. And so basically what that means is I was working in fundraising. And so I was raising money for Midland University and for the college. And I mostly would reach out to the broad base of donors. And I ran their giving days. If anybody doesn't know what that is, it's a giving day is basically one day of giving, and it's fueled, or it's the giving day is all digital, and so it will be advertised through social media, through email. Donations are pretty much taken via online payment. And so that was part of my job. Also fall, spring appeals, and just talking to donors and, just raising money for the school. And so that's what I did after the legislature.
Yeah. And so, again, another service-oriented, customer service focus job, but more specifically, both of us happened to be working at Midland at the time. So that was really the neat thing, is that the same place that we met, and I can remember kind of going back there, and I remember, we actually got married at Midland. We got married on Midland's campus.
We left that out.
Yep. So, but that was really cool that we ended up, having our wedding there and our reception, and then to be back there working in 2019 was really cool. And so that was kind of a full circle moment in our life. But so since then, you've stayed in the fundraising side of things. You did start working at a place here in Lincoln called EdgeCare Lincoln, where you were a grant writer and a fundraiser as well.
Yes.
And you kind of have continued to be in that space of fundraising now. So, what are some of your thoughts in general about, as you look back over the course of your life and you think about some of the challenges that presented consistently early on, and just how do you maintain a positive perspective and viewpoint?
Well, I think the number one thing, and this is a bit cliche, but it's not, because it is completely the truth, is just to have gratitude. Gratitude for everything that you do, everything in your life. Gratitude for your family, all of your blessings. And I think that's the number one way to stay positive and stay, that is like A1, A1. So after you have gratitude for everything in your life, then you can maybe expand. And then you can think about more things, but that you want to accomplish and that you want to strive for. But I think if you are struggling with your, like, anything, like maybe a negative attitude, it's just like changing your perspective. Mm-hmm. I think changing your perspective is the number one thing you have to do in any given situation.
Yeah. And so, we talk about changing perspective. We talk about having gratitude and just an openness to this idea that things can be different. And I think that that's just one of those consistent thoughts that for the folks listening, as you think about your own journey and the challenges that you're experiencing, you have to be open to things changing for the positive. If you continue to believe that things are not going to change, they will not change. And even if they do change, you won't recognize the change. You'll be so focused and foreclosed on the negative of that specific situation that you'll continue to believe that you don't have an opportunity, even when there might be one there. There's just so many things that happen in life where, you think that it's one of the worst things that could possibly happen, but it ends up being something positive. And I think that that could be leaving a job. That could be a situation where, you've missed out on something or something has been a challenge. But it's usually those really tough adversities that we experience that build up the resilience. And also, I always think when you're fully, deeply into something that's not good, then all of a sudden, all the things that have been good come into perspective, right? Mm-hmm. So you're like, okay, this is really bad. Like, I don't necessarily have this, or I'm missing this particular person, or there's this negative thing has happened. Then all of a sudden, all those great things come into pretty clear view, right? Like, wow, this wasn't the way things were last week. I wasn't dealing with this, or this wasn't an issue. And so what we hope people do is, while things are good, recognize that they're good and celebrate those things and really find in that goodness or that gratitude that you're demonstrating, find hope and resilience. And so those are some things that I think we've pretty consistently focused on. But we'll go ahead and wrap things up after this. You've been listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. I have my wife, Katie Chatters, on today. It's been great, and we're going to finish things up right after this. We'll be right back.
Harvest season is coming, and Acres has discounted many of our late model John Deere combines. Get thousands in discounts and upgrade for this year's harvest. Plus, you could save even more with interest rates starting as low as 1.9% on select units. Low interest rates combined with our huge discounts, there's not a better time to buy. Visit acres.com for all the details. That's AKRS.com. Restrictions apply. Offer ends August 31st, 2025. Subject to approved financing. Offer may change at any time without notice.
Hey fans, there's more winning at Amigos with the VIP Game Day giveaway. Every app scan is your chance to win premium tickets to a Nebraska football, basketball, and volleyball game, along with exclusive game day perks. And when Nebraska goes to a bowl, the winner also gets 2 tickets, lodging, and airfare to the bowl game. Weekly semifinalists will win free food for a year. Go Big Red. Eat at Amigos and enter to win.
Amigos is celebrating 45 years with exclusive Nebraska Legends collectible cups featuring Tom Osborne, John Cook, and some of your favorite Huskers. For every cup sold, 50 cents goes to teammates. Show your Big Red pride by getting all 4 of these collectible cups at Amigos.
This is Tom Osborne with the Teammates Mentoring Program. We have students on the waiting list for a mentor, and we want you to join the team. Learn more about mentoring and support teammates by visiting Amigos.
An overdose can happen in front of you and you might not realize it. Blue lips, slowed breathing, pinpoint pupils, choking sounds, unresponsive to touch or sounds. These signs aren't always obvious, but they can be deadly. Knowing what to do could save your friend, your neighbor, your child. Learn more by visiting myhealthymind.crediblemmind.com so you can be ready before it happens. This message is funded in part by the CDC OD2A grant.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
Limitless Male says, it's all fun and games until your testosterone plummets. Testosterone levels can start falling as early as age 30 with symptoms like no energy, poor sleep, brain fog, belly fat, muscle loss, and mood swings. If this sounds familiar, get your testosterone checked at Limitless Male. We'll get you back in the game with more strength, energy, and confidence. When you feel this good, you'll wonder why you waited so long to get a free consult at Limitless Male. Get scheduled today.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
What's better than supporting your favorite radio station and eating delicious Nebraska-made products? Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska wants to highlight you, the listener, on the 93.7 The Ticket Wall of Fame at the store. Stop by the store at 48th and R in Lincoln and see their huge variety of small batch gourmet jerky. Or if you're not in the area and want to try some, go to SmokingGunJerky.com and enter code EARLY for 10% off your purchase. It's the ultimate low-calorie, high-protein snack at Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. We're back on the Law of Lift. This is our last segment. And so, it's been so awesome to have my wife, Katie Chatters, on the show today. And so you wanted to tell a story or at least give a perspective. And, as we kind of finish things up here.
Yes, I do. We talked earlier about all of the challenges that we've had. Me specifically, going through a bad car accident and then, living our lives together and going through all of the challenges that we've had to go through. As an overlay to any problem that we face now or in the future, this is kind of like the perspective that I bring to it always is if you are breathing, okay, hopefully this makes sense, but you always have something to you always have something to be grateful for if you are breathing. That's all you need. Because if you are breathing, you are still in this world and you can still get better. There's still something in store for you. And I know that might sound dramatic, but it is 100% true. Today can look different. Sorry, I'm going to start over. Tomorrow can look dramatically different than today. And you always just have to hold that belief, and it can be true. So anyway, that's my little tangent. I think it maybe didn't make as much sense as I wanted it to, but
well, I mean, I understand it. And I think that there's so many times that we struggle in life and we're feeling as though, gosh, you know, I'm going through this extremely difficult thing and I just can't see my way out of it. And honestly, it is a blessing in and of itself to have life and to have lived and to live. And I think that starts with an appreciation of just, I'm living. I'm actually fully engaged in experiencing this thing called life, and that in and of itself is a blessing, right? And so when you wake up in the morning and you open your eyes, that means that anything is possible because you're living, right? And I think just kind of this concept of being able to like compel yourself from wherever you start every single day to where you want to go, it's a journey and it's going to be challenging. And I think, you know, every single day that we get the opportunity to live and we get the opportunity to interact with other people and just be a meaningful part of this world, it's an absolute blessing. And so I do want people to understand, even if you're struggling, if you're going through something tough right now, you're still showing up, you're still doing the things that you need to do in your life, you're still being a part of your family, those people around you and everything else, you're thriving. You're actually thriving by just being there, by showing up, by doing the things that life calls us to do. And it's hard sometimes, right?
Right. And you have to embody that you are thriving, because you cannot put comparisons on you or anyone else, because you're living your own life. And by you empowering yourself, that is everything. That is everything. And that is your reality.
Yeah. For some people, getting out of bed in the morning is tough, right? For other people, they get up and they'll go run a marathon tomorrow or something, right?
Yeah.
Both people had to compel themselves to do those things. And when you start to judge yourself and whether or not you're doing what you need to do, that's where you start to run into problems. And so take it one step at a time. You know, we're going to kind of close this out. Any shout outs that you want to give as we close the show out, as you think back on your journey? Because as you talked about that, you know, not being judgmental of your journey and all those different types of things. I think about you coming back from your accident, right? And having to every day struggle with standard everyday things, but you eventually made it through that and you kept going and you kept going and you kept going. And you were able to build that resilience to get to, you know, where you were fully recovered and able to look back on it now and speak about it with power and share that journey with other people. So any shout outs you want to do here at the end?
Sure. Well, I would like to first shout out you. And I think, you know, you are the reason that you and I together are the reason why we have come so far together. Another shout out, I'm going to shout out Erlon and Michaela. I love you forever. Okay, sorry for the pause. Then I want to shout out my parents, Tim and Sue Schroeder. I want to, you know, all of everybody, my family, my extended family, my in-laws, you know, Miss Chatters, Saria, Constant, Emmanuel, Tiffany, Jackie, Haley. Okay. There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot, but no, that's good. That's good. I mean, this is our family. These are the people who have been around us since the beginning. And it just means so much to have a wonderful family and a great supportive unit around you. And for you all who have had the opportunity to listen to this today, just know, right, as we talked about some of the challenges that Katie overcame, and then as we had the opportunity to meet and we've been supporting each other for the last 24 years, I just hope that you have the opportunity to find someone who can be a great partner in life, who can support you, who can be there through the difficult times, who can be there during the times when you're having a wonderful time. But, you know, we've learned a lot from your journey today and really appreciate you taking the time to be on the show. This is the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. And as I always say to you all, I hope as you're going through the challenges that you face in your life that you get the opportunity to lift off. Katie, it's been great to have you on the show today. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.